everyone and welcome back to Cotto Verde. My name's Annette and today I've been planting up some of my patio pots, and these are the really big pots that I have here on the patio, and they only get half a day's worth of sun. So in the morning they're predominantly in shade, and then by about midday they're in full sun, and that's, you know, right the way down to when the sun goes down in the summer, they're in full sun. So they're kind of tricky to plant, but this larger pot here has got this gorgeous juniper, and this one is called Zeal, and I just really like the shape. I like the fact that you can see the branches dangling down, so it's like this sort of standard lollipop shape, and I just really love it. I love the fact that it's kind of a bluey green colour, and yeah, I'm just finding it really pretty. The trunk, the bark on the trunk is also really attractive. But this is a new tree for us this year, and we just replaced what was in here before, which was some sort of Nandina, I think. I thought it would give us a lot of colour year round, but actually it's just not a really pretty plant. And I wanted something that was more of a statement. And I was, you know, toing and froing between an olive and something like this, but it needed to be evergreen, and this is what we've gone for. But what's happened then is that we've got this big empty space at the bottom, and so I really wanted to put something that wasn't going to grow too tall or detract from the gorgeous bluey green foliage on the juniper. So what I've chosen to plant on the bottom are some white campanula, and I've put 4 in. So in between those I've planted this lovely variegated plectranthus, and I've been pinching it out because they came as really small plug plants. So I've been pinching them out and waiting for them to bush out a bit before I could plant them. But that's what I've put in the bottom. You can see that this one here is, you know, slightly weaker, but they should all bush out, especially now that they're planted. And you know, there aren't very many flowers on these campanula, but I chose them specifically that way because they've got loads of buds. So, you know, when you're picking things in the garden centre, try not to pick the most beautiful ones that are fully in flower unless you need that immediate gratification. But if you want, you know, blooms to come like in the next few weeks, then try to pick things that are still in bud. Well, that's what I do anyway, so that, you know, in a week's time I'm going to have this lovely sort of mound of white at the bottom here, and these will see me through all summer long. So they like sun and shade, and they pretty much like the same conditions that my juniper likes, and I think the plectranthus is going to do quite well as well, because plectranthus can take part shade. I think this is just called plectranthus. I don't think it's got any other name. I'm not sure that it's a particular variety, apart from the fact that it's this lovely variegated colour. And I really wanted the variegation to sort of break up the green from the campanula. And then in this middle pot here, we planted many years ago when we first got the pots. I put a Philadelphus called Little White Love in there, and I made 2 mistakes with that. First of all, because Philadelphus aren't necessarily the tidiest, most structured plants, and secondly, because they're not evergreen. So in the winter, it kind of looked spindly and like nothing, and was very disappointing. And then any time that it wasn't in bloom, it just looked like a fairly messy plant. When it was in bloom, it was gorgeous, but actually it wasn't doing particularly well. So what I've done is I've dug it out, pruned it back because it's finished flowering, and then I dug it out, and I'm going to plant that in one of our beds, and I think it'll do much better in an actual flower bed than it ever did in this pot. And because I don't currently have another evergreen to put in the pot at the moment, so I've got this lovely juniper here, and then in the pot below I've got another, I think that's a juniper. I can't remember what that is actually, but it's a really sort of icy blue colour, and I really love that. Anyway, because I don't have another evergreen to put in this pot yet, what I've done is I've planted it up with other things. So I was going to say annuals, but actually they're not really annuals. So I found in the garden centre earlier on this week, I found this gorgeous oregano, and I almost didn't recognise it because it looks so different to the oregano that we use as a herb normally. I mean, it tastes like oregano. I've tasted it and it smells like oregano, but it's just got this gorgeous sort of pinky tinge on the I'm going to say petals, but like I think these are the flowers. I'm not sure because I don't know this plant very well. This one is called, I think it's called Kent Beauty. Again, I'll put the name up on the screen, but it's kind of really wafty, and I just really like the pinky purple there. This one's actually got some purple flowers. So I'm guessing that these are calyx And then these are the little flowers inside. I'm hoping that my camera's focusing on that. It is. This is actually perennial, so it's not going to look great in the winter because you cut it right back, but then it's going to come back every year. So if I don't keep it in this pot and I find another evergreen that I like in the autumn, then I will move this to a bed or round by the kitchen because we'll use it as herbs, and I just think it's actually really pretty. So I'm definitely not going to use it as an annual. I'm keeping it as a perennial. It's gorgeous. It also wasn't particularly cheap. I think it was about £10. Here in this corner I've put another one of the Rosa Cutie Pie. The cutie pies are absolutely gorgeous, and the ones that I planted up about I think it's maybe a month ago, something like that, I'm not sure, but they've really flowered and they're so pretty. So these have kind of been waiting in my holding area, but they've just got the prettiest little flowers, and they really do spread and grow, and they're going to flower all season long, and you don't have to deadhead them. And they're just, I mean, they are cutie pie. They're very small roses, they're very low growing. Oh, it's started to rain. So that's what I put here. I think it's going to go really well with the white that I've got going on in this area here. And then I've also planted here a couple of Dichondra silver falls. And these should start trailing down the side of the pot. And I chose this to go in this pot particularly because I think it'll go really nice with the evergreen conifer that I've got over there. It'll kind of just pick up the colour. It's the same sort of whitey silver colour, and I think it blends really well with the oregano and the Rosa Cutie Pie. So what I did by way of compost is I topped the pots up with the normal compost that we use, which is the peat-free compost. I'll put a link in the description below. It's Melcourt Silver Grow peat-free compost, and I really like it as a peat-free compost. I think it's excellent. This pot, from when we planted this juniper a few weeks ago, well, it's probably about 6 weeks ago now, the compost had sunk. Is that the right word? So I guess it had settled, that's it. So the compost had settled and there was quite a large gap at the top. So I added more compost. I tried to keep it away from the base of the plant here because you don't want to keep compost going too high up the trunk of a tree because that just might mean it might rot. But there were some roots exposed from where the compost had settled. So I've topped this one up and then planted around them, kind of away from the root ball, to give this conifer a chance to root in. And this conifer is going to be able to stay in this pot for a really long time. This is a huge pot. Haven't measured it, but it kind of comes up to the top of my hips. So it's a substantial pot and there's plenty of room for it to last in there. With this one, because the Philadelphias had rooted in really well and I kind of struggled to get it out, I took out quite a significant amount of compost from this pot. Now, because these aren't very deep rooting plants, I mean, the rose might root fairly deeply, but not that deeply. Because they're not very deep rooting plants, I didn't renew all the compost. Again, it's quite a tall pot and I didn't feel that I needed to change all the compost in there, but I took out all the rooty mess. I probably emptied just over a third of the pot of compost and then topped it up with fresh compost. So mixed in with the top layer of compost in both pots, I added some growmore, which is just, you know, very broad spectrum plant food that's really good too. You can add it to your beds, you can mix it in with your pots, but it just gives the plants the nutrients, additional nutrients that they'll need. I mean, the compost has got some nutrients in, but I always add a bit of extra plant food when I'm putting things in pots. I really think it helps. And then I just watered them in and ta-da, it's all done. So I'm really happy with the way these pots look. I'm absolutely thrilled. I'm really delighted that I found this oregano. I just think that it's very special. It's really wafty and I keep touching it because it's gorgeous. So as always, if you haven't subscribed to my channel and you'd like to see more videos from me, then do subscribe and give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, because that really does help me and I'd really appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.